Hello, back again. Sorry I haven't been making many videos lately. I've been very ill actually. Got a bit of a growth that turned nasty and had to have it removed. Doctor said shouldn't have it done. Went up to the hospital and they decided to take it out. And I wish I'd had it left there because it almost killed me. But anyway, norovirus, whatever they call it, coronavirus, that had to go at me, and I had to struggle with that as well at the same time. So I'm getting better. So here we are again. So back on track. And I was up the wood today, well tonight, coming back down, and I had the camera with me, and I took some video of a bridge that I built some time ago. As I say, it's not my memory about it. I can't remember things anymore, this stuff is. And so I took some photos of it. And the other thing is that I thought I'd make a sort of a roundup about things that I've done or we've done, and little things I've forgotten about or I think you ought to know, because I have said that somebody said, well, why don't you make one a bit more action in it, a bit more body in it, and I will do that if I can, and we go up the wood and we'll cut some stuff, trim out a tree or whatever that means, take the side branches off, and possibly peel it and for rails, post and rails. That's round wood, working in the round wood. And I was going past this bridge and I made it mainly out of round wood. And I took some of it. I'll add it to this and we'll see what you think about it. Now then, I'll go through a few things about over the subjects that we've done, and hopefully we can cover stuff that people have asked about. And I go around. There's a chap called Paolo, I think it's a fella, and he lives in Italy apparently, and he's asked me about the cradle. Now then, if you haven't been following my stuff all right to the end and you've been cutting your videos short, well, you might have missed cradle, because this is cradle, this is a cradle, and this is a way of holding your billock by you so that you can make use of it straight away. As I said in the video about the billock, I said that sometimes you work in the wood, you put it down or it falls, and then you work and then you can't find it again. Well, if you've got a cradle, now then, hedgers use a cradle quite a bit, and I've noticed them from a distance. I've never had one, so I thought, well, I'll make one, and I made one. It works very successfully. Paul was interested enough to ask about it, and he said, can I make one? I said, you go ahead. I got no problem with that, and I'll show you how I done it. Now then, it's made to carry a billock, but it will carry something, a few other things if you like, and the billock actually sits in it like this. I'll put it here so that you know, and I don't want to cut myself because I got enough to do without that. It sits in there, and that's, your back is here, and it sits behind you in there like that, and that's how it works. Now then, we just take it to pieces and put it together, and you'll be able to see what I mean. This is an ordinary piece of belt. I don't know where I got it from. It's just here. I always got some sort of stuff lying about, and it's just a piece of 4mm fencing wire, because it's very strong and dead, what I call dead. It stops where you bend it. And what I've done, I made a hook to put the billock in. It's got a little curl out there so that the billock will slot in like that. It's not a V. I put a piece of timber in there to make it a U when I squeezed it in the vise. And then it comes up from that little hook. I bend it a little bit that way so that the billock sets correctly. And then I lengthen my hand, and then I just put a right angle bend on it, lengthen my hand again, and I put another right angle bend on it, put a little curve on it there because it's sitting your back against your back, and then it comes down here, and I put a little turn there, so when it's sitting on your back, it's sort of resting comfortably against your back. If it's out like that, it might, when you're taking the billock out, go the wrong side of there. So that's it. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's my version of it. I'm thinking about other people now. That's how I do it. Now then, how I set it up, I just put that in there. around, and you're halfway there. Well, you're there in other words. So there you are, you've got the billock. Now then, that will flop about, so you want to put that around there. Now then, I'd done that, and I found that when you were putting it round your back, it fell off like that. It sort of come down and fell off. So my little tip, if you're going to do it like that, put it at the back of the cradle, so that it's against your skin or your clothing, and then put that through there, so that that is like that. See? And when you pull that tight, it should go like that, and then you've got a cradle. Now then, I'll put the cradle on, because I've got this jacket on, got my glasses on, because I put my reading glasses on, because it's affecting my bloody eyesight as well, this is. So we just move this around a bit, and then I'll just put it on to show you roughly how it works, and then you'll get some idea. But if you've got it like that, and you've got the cradle like that, what you do is you catch hold of it like that, you just put it there, swing it around, you've adjusted it so that it fits you quite firmly, click, that's it. Now then, what I do then, I just pull my jerkin forward and down, so that there's no waste material behind, hopefully, otherwise there's a danger that the billock will catch in it when you're bringing it back, and you don't want that. So the other thing is that it goes around the back, so I'll slide that around like that, and it should go roughly about there. You might want to adjust it as you what do you call. And so that's now a little cradle to put your billock in. Now here's your billock. You know a billock by now, I've explained to you about it. Now this isn't a billock really, it's a bill, because a billock has got a hook on it. And this was a billock, and I cut the hook off because I was cutting some slates. One day I was up on a roof slating and to do all sorts of stupid things, and I desperately wanted to finish this roof, and I didn't have a slate. I tried this as a guillotine, and the hook was on the way, so I cut the hook off. Bit of a shame really, but too late now. So there we are. So I put the bill or your billock in there like that, and that's it. So now that's a means of carrying your billock, and you can walk around, you can do what the hell you like, and you can bend over and do it, you know, and it'll always stop there. I've never had it come out. The only time I've had it come out is when I put it in roll. And then when you bring it out, you bring it up like that, and you've got it ready to go. There's two things about bringing the billock out of that cradle, well, three things. When you put it in, you don't put it in like that. You don't put it in like that, that's awkward. You put it in, you drop it in like that. Just make sure it fits in. After a while you get so used to it, you just sort of put it in, you know, you just sort of go, that's it. And it sits there at an angle. But don't bring it out at an angle, because otherwise you've got to go like this. Oh. So what you do is, you put it in long ways, what I call long ways, and you bring it out sideways. And you switch it like that, it comes out like that, immediately. So it goes in long ways to make sure it goes in, and it comes out like that. So there's two things. Now the third thing is this, that if you do it that way, when you bring it out, you just put your hand and you bring it out like that. When you come round to do the work, the billock is at right angles, so you've got to turn around. Now then, so what I do is, when I am bringing the billock out, that's going in, yeah. When I'm bringing the billock out, what I do is, I twist my hand, like that. So instead of going around like that, I twist my arm clockwise. Keep it clockwise, put it there, like that, clockwise, see, clockwise. Then when you bring it out, come round, and the billock is pointing at the work, it's pointing ready to go. so you haven't got to look what you're doing. After a while it gets so used to it, you do it automatically. And you're finished, pop it back in, and that's it. That's all you need to know about the thing. Paolo, I mean, from Italy. You're welcome to have a go and you make yourself a cradle, and you're welcome to. Now then, you can also, if you want to, use it for a sickle. I mean, you know, sometimes you're doing something, you're brushing a hedge, and you may, I don't think I've ever used it, but you could use it for a sickle, because it is quite handy to do it, and probably I will do someday if I'm still around, and that can be, so that's that. The other thing which I find very handy is that, and if we come back now to the bench, I've got a clumsy drug. We come back to the bench there, is that in the wood we've got rhododendron, the bloody nuisance, sorry, and don't like swearing, and so in order to get rid of it, I drill holes in the side of the rhododendron, the stem, and then I inject it with some stuff like that, and that's got Roundup or something like that, and I squeeze, and then it gives it an injection. So I drill a hole at an angle, and then I fill that hole with that, and it kills the rhododendron. The beauty of this is that I got a little hook on there, I put on there, and I keep that, because we got a lot of side land and we got a ravine, and I got to work on the side of the ravine. Now if you're trying to carry that and drill that and pull that, that ends up in the ravine, and that slides down the bank, and you're in all sorts of trouble. So you can do that, dressed up like a Christmas tree on it. And the other thing is, what I've done, I put a piece of wire around there and pulled that like that, because now I've got a cradle, and you can use the cradle then to, if I bring it around to the right spot, to act as somewhere to put your drill. So then you can use the drill, you bring it up. It's a bit awkward, but it's better than trying to do it by hand. You can use it, and then when you're finished, you've got somewhere you can put it. Oh, I haven't said that right, have I? But you get the right idea. And then you can walk around. You've got to step over this, you've got to struggle down the ravine to get the next one, and you're trying to carry everything. You've got that and your wood hand, and you've got everything to go. So that's to do with the cradle, and how to use it with a billock, with a sickle, and with a drill. You're poisoning or getting rid of trees that you don't want. So that's one thing that I wanted to cover. The other thing now then is the sickle. Now then, let's have a look. We're always on about sickles, aren't we, aren't I? But now then, what I want to say to you is this. The old adage, there's more than one way of skinning a cat. And I show you my way, and other people may have their opinion that's different to mine, and they are welcome to it, and I welcome it myself, and I hope to learn something from it sometimes. Might find something some good, but just about what I'd like to say is this: is that when you're sharpening a sickle, and I might have got a bit of a habit of trying to be a bit begged, and look how quick I could do it. But when you're sharpening a sickle, and I'm going to open this jacket now because you don't wear the jacket when you're using a sickle, that'll be very rarely. When you're sharpening a sickle, it's more important to be accurate than to be quick. Like, I mean, you know, you can be but it's much more important to be accurate than to be quick. Now then, if you're accurate, you will get what I call a patina on there, and if you look at that sickle, it looks as though it's been ground by a machine, because every time I hit that there, I've got one face I use that in engineering because I've been trying to tell people how to grind drills, and I use one face, and that's it. And it's like as if it's been done by a machine. There's not 3 or 4 faces, and it's done by a machine. And when you turn it over, you will see that the bevel has got one face. It's a flat face, and it's been ground continuously to the same angle, and that's important. That's more important than speed, okay? And you'd be better off to do it at least at the start, more slowly, than to try and get speed up. I mean, and you can't get a good edge. So a sickle is designed so that when it's on there, that virtually points roughly to there. So if you were to go to there and turn that up, then you're at the right angle, pretty well there. But you hear it, and you can. I use a term in engineering when I'm talking about twist drills or flat faces on a grinder. You feel it. You feel the edge. You feel the wheel when you're grinding. You feel it. You play about and you'll feel the flat. And if you do this, and if you do it often enough, you'll hear the flat. That's not flat, and if you did it down there, that's not flat. But when it's sweet, you've got the flat. And then when you come round here, that is the same angle, but you'll feel the flat on here, and you can see that that's flat. It's like as if it's been machined flat, and it's been pushed by hand. Now then, you will feel the flat of the bevel, and that wants to be the same. And the indication is that when you do that, you keep the same angle. And if you do that, and you keep your hands, they might be sticking, they don't go round the thing, they're just sticking around, but you're clenching it, you're clenching it like that, and your thumb is your guide. That's as far as you want to go. That stops you from putting your hand too far around, and therefore you can go up to there, come down to there. Now then, this is, as I say, the many ways of skinning a cat. This is my way of skinning a cat, alright? Now then, if you do that, and you do it conscientiously, and try to feel the flat, and try to feel the flat, then you will get a good edge. It's unavoidable, and you will get a good edge for a sickle. So that is it. And I just have a look, 22, 10 to 5, to quarter of an hour gone, because I want to get it in if I can. So you got that, like that, like that, like that, plenty up as far as you can go, come down as far as it, don't go off there, but come down there like that, down there like that, down there like that. And if you do that, of course you're restricted here, but you should have a nice flat edge. You've got no crud on there. Why is the reason I haven't got crud? A, because I only cut when it's dry, and B, because I got a flat edge, so I take the crud off every time with it. And that is, I've gone from aluminium oxide, I've gone on to silicon carbide for that reason. It doesn't attract the crud so much. I like aluminium oxide because it's a nice stone, but I use it on that. You don't have to dip that in water, and it lasts and lasts. And you can see where that edge there, I hope you can, that bevel from there to there, that's the usable part of the sickle, is flat. It's not got a bow on it, and that is that. And if you do that conscientiously, you will get a good edge, and then you look after it. And it's a little and often. You might have to do it a lot to get your sickle in good condition, but once you've got your sickle in good condition, you do it about every 10 minutes, quarter of an hour. You just have a stop, you put it there. I'm not going to do it again because that's not in my trousers. Could I put it in my trousers, but it wouldn't be there. But see what happens if you don't? See, so you just put it in there, lock it in, otherwise it does what it just done then, and then you go up, going up to the top. Do it slowly if you want. There, 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 there. That's fast enough, really. If you want to do it faster, do it up to you, but you might do it inaccurate because you're trying to do it too fast. people like to do it the quick way, but there's the proper way. And that covers the billock. That's what I wanted to discuss with you about the billock. So we done the cradle, we done the bill, we done the billock. What else? Oh, axis. Now, axis. Now then, I haven't discussed axes much with you, apart from how to sharpen them. And with axes, I don't use hand and eye. I use a jig. And there's my little jig, as rough as you like. It sets it at an angle. That's the angle that I want. And therefore, I know that when I get a stone, and I use these stones now, this has come out of a sharpening stone case, and when I get a stone, I know that if I put that on there, I don't like this because there's too many cutting edges about here, and when I put that on there at that thing, that is level with the bench, and I do that, and you can't go wrong, and you will get a flat face on there, and when you turn it over, you will get a flat face on there. Keep that angle the same. I did suggest that you put it up and put a second edge on, but I don't do that much now. I used to do it just once across, because, and I did it with a sandpaper file. I push it up, and then I just do a couple of strokes on there. That just takes the edge, turns the edge a little bit. But I don't know, does it help or not? And I've gone off the idea a little bit. But it's a pedantic thing. As I say, there's more ways to skin in a cat. And therefore, but I find it might cause you to take off the edge. Because what I do with that, I use it for making cuts in wood like that. And if you've got a double edge, it'll tend to turn like that. So that's it. I got two axes here. That's a 2-pound axe. I've had that longer than I've had that, I think. Can't remember. And I used to use the 2-pound axe quite a lot. Now then, one thing about axes and hammers. I can remember when I started in engineering when I was a kid, I was doing something on the bench on this tool set come up, and he said, have you that hammer fell out? What was it done to you? And I said, I don't know what you mean. And he said, well, you got it by the throat. And I said, oh, well, and I said, you've got it here. You're hammering it here. And he said, there's the head, there's the handle, and there's the throat. So he said, you use the head and the handle, but rarely use the throat. Now that's true for a hammer, and that's true probably for, very rarely would you catch a hammer there. You see people now, even on YouTube, they've got an axe and they're doing this. But this is where the handle is. That's the throat. You're throttling the axe. It's called throttling the axe, and that's it. So now then, the other thing is that weight. Now then, that's a good axe. And well, I'm 78. But as you get older, your muscle power goes. Your muscle mass goes. You go a little bit shorter, you go a little bit thinner, and your muscle mass goes. And so therefore, what seemed like a damn good idea, it starts to degenerate. And if it's too heavy for you, you become inaccurate, because your wrist gets tired, your hand gets tired. And believe you me, if you use an axe for more than a quarter of an hour, your hand and your wrist will get tired, especially if it's too heavy for you. So that's a 2-pound axe. This is under 2, it's about 1.5-pound axe. Much older axe than that, but I prefer this because it's more accurate for me, because it's got the right thing. So I hold it by there's the handle, there's the throat, there's the axe. So don't fight to have a big axe, fight to have a good edge. Look after your edge every time. And I'm hoping to take you up in the wood, and we'll do a bit of round wood. And what I've done, I made a video of a bridge that I made out of roundwood, and I made it this evening on the way down from the wood. I just got the camera out, didn't it, roughly. I'll put these two together, and that will show you that. So that covers those points. Now then, when you're doing roundwood, I go up in the wood, and I only use an axe and a saw. Now, when I say a saw, I don't mean the chainsaw, because that's too bloody big and clumsy for me. I use one of these handsaw. Now this handsaw, I've had it for about 2 or 3 years. It's done loads of work, but it's still got quite a bit of an edge on it. And I got 2 things to say about that. I might have something to say about it when I tell you about my father. I'll tell you how he used to train me. And he said there's 2 things: use all of the blade and don't press. Now then, down here I've got, I'll tell you what, if I bring that out here, and I'll be able to explain it a bit easier. But down here I've got a piece of timber. There it is. It's the other side. There it is, on top of the trailer. Now this is a piece of timber that's been brought in. I've cut some off it, and it will probably fit. Let's cut that in half. But what I say to you is, if you're using the saw, you see it all the time. People think, I want to do it in a hurry, so I'm going to press. And they don't use all of the blade. 2 things: use all of the blade and don't press at all. The saw will find its way, because when the teeth are full of sawdust, you can press as much as you like. The teeth are full. You're wasting your energy. And I've seen people, and they've cut through there, and they've got to have a rest. If you just do not press, use all of the blade, and come to a speed that you can work at all the day, because you can saw this like this, and what I do is I press here, there. That's where I'm pressing the saw forward, at the bottom, there. I also put my fingers around there and my thumb there. And if I want to apply a little bit of pressure, I can put a little bit of pressure just to turn it, but very, very rarely and very lightly. That's where I push the saw, because the angle of that is right. The people who make this saw tend to make it like that, and therefore they have short, deep strokes, and they're wasting energy. So if you wanted a saw like that, what time is it? We got about 3 minutes left. Now then, let's have a look. I could saw like that. All the strokes, full length, all the strokes, and I'm not pressing anything, but I'm just got my pressure at the bottom of my hand. I'm not pushing down. I'm using the whole of the saw. You should be able to knock the handle if you want, you know, like that. Now you can use the saw. I'm happy. It's happy. I'm not using any energy. I could do this all day. Now it might be this video might be coming to an end, but I'll see if I got another piece of stick. But I'll show you. So look what's here. Here's one here. That was about 3.5, 4 inches, I think. That thing that we just cut. This is a bit smaller. Let's try this. What as I say? If you do as I say, you can cut for hours and hours by not pressing. I'll relate a story to you about my dad and how he taught me to do it. All of the blade right up to the end. Nice speed, no pressure, no weight on my muscles. It's about the same energy that they just standing here. And you're covering some ground while you're doing that. Don't be in too much of a hurry. Everybody wants to be in a hurry these days. You've got to time yourself because you're working all day. But people don't work all day these days. They do one and then they go home for a cup of coffee or something. But that's 2. I'm going to need more, but I could saw a whole pile of... With that saw is at least 3 years old, and I use it pretty well every day. And because I don't abuse it, it'll carry on. So I think now we're coming to the end of this little video. I hope I put some things together that I thought I might win. And what I'm going to do is I'm I endeavour. Hello again. Now then, I did promise that I would show you some examples of working with round wood in the wood, and I just got something that I'd done about 3 years ago. I built a bridge across the ravine, and I used round wood for rails and posts and things like that. This is our house over there. This is our garden, about 1.5 to 2 acres of it. And if I come down here now, you can see that there's a bit of post and rail. And if we come across here, then you can see a bridge. It's a bridge. We've had a tree felled across the ravine. It's quite a steep and deep ravine, and we had it felled so that we could get across, because it's a shorter way for us to travel than going all the way down there, about as far as you can see, and then coming back, and we can go across here like that. And what we've used, or what I've used, is post and rail at each end as a protection from going over the edge, and also the posts for the little safety wire going across to keep you safe. So we'll just have a look at this, and what I want to point out to you, these actually are branches of a fir tree, and it's excellent timber for this sort of work. If you've got a fir tree, a big fir tree coming down, ignore the trunk, but save the branches, because they're really strong, hard wearing and hard. And what I want to point out to you is how you can marry your angles to fit exactly to the post. That post is rough hewn, it's split actually, and by wedges, and that has been sculpted exactly to fit individually on that post, you see. And if we come across here, this is what I'm trying to point out to you, is that if you use an axe, you make a flat there, you take half of it away, but you sculpt it to fit the post. And if you look at this one down here, you see it's going out that way, and that has been sculpted to fit, and it's very, very, very strong. And the same down the bottom. And if we go across the bridge, which we can do, no problem at all. I even push a wheelbarrow across here, we're loaded with sticks, so there's no snags. We just put these posts in as a safety rail, so if you happen to slip, you've got something to grab onto, and you go down onto the rocks below. So now these posts have been sculpted into the timber exactly as the same as that post and rail. And we've also got a stanchion. You see the stanchion holding the post up? We've got one here. That's what I call a stanchion. This here, and you see how it's sculpted into the bridge, and it's sculpted. I've got to be careful I don't step off the edge and take a tumble. And you see how it's sculpted into this here, and you sculpt it in, then you bring it up, and all you got is an axe and a handsaw. That's all you need. You axe that in, you handsaw that with a handsaw, you axe that in, and then you cut it off there, and then when you come here to do the rails, that's your post, that's your stanchion, and when you come in to do the rails, you sculpt that in so it fits exactly to the post. And the same here, and the same there. You can hardly get a knife between them, and you do that with an axe. You do that by eye with an axe. And if we come finally to this one across here, at the end of the rail here, and you see how that is fitted in to the rail exactly, and it's about halfway, not quite halfway, taken out to get that fit. Here again, it's exactly correct, as if you'd been done by a machine. That's been done by axe and eye. Axe and eye. That one is exactly the same. This I made some years ago, about 3-4 years ago, if I remember right. And that is it. What this bridge consists of is, I'll just try and get some view. But behind me is a stump of a tree. And what we decided to do was we needed this bridge. So we took the top off the tree to the right length. And then I arranged a guy who's done some work for me. He's a friend of mine, I think, by now. And he came along, and I'll just go up here. We got the sun on the way. Sorry about this. But if I go up here, I'm not going to edit this, so you'll get it as it comes, because I can't. Hate editing. But there's the stump of the tree, and he cut it so that the height to the height, we calculated the height, and then he cut it so that when the tree fell and it was going down horizontally, then the trunk fell away and it come down, bang, and it landed exactly where we wanted it. And then he said, you can do the rest. So I had cut the round off the trunk and make it flat by putting chainsaw cuts, and then hammer on a bolster chisel and cutting them off nice pieces for the fire. And then I cut the indents for the posts, and I put a splay at the far end on the splay here to stop you falling over the edge, and that's how it was done. So that's an example of using an axe in the wood for the with the wood. We didn't have to move from here actually. We just took the axe and the saw, and I'll explain using the saw as well, and I'll explain that as well. You see, we've got a spring on there, so if you fall, it'll save you. I'm pretty certain of that. But there's no need to fall anyway. So that's it. So I hope that's an example for you of how to use an axe and a handsaw. There was no chainsaw for the actual putting in of the rails. It was all done with an axe and a handsaw, and I'm going to explain the reasons for that after, because I'm going to make a video about it first. Okay.